What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the one and only James Williams, Dog Waters, with a quick AM show. I don't know how quick this is going to be because I'm going to chop it up with y'all a little bit. Hopefully, all of you guys are doing fantastically well. Hopefully, life is treating you good. Hopefully, things are going the way you want them to go in your life. I know one thing, my life is going fantastic. I just finished my breakfast. It's going on 9:30. Everything is on schedule. I got my cigar and iced coffee. And in fact, I got my favorite cigar, the cigar that was actually made for me. It's a 60 ring gauge, double Maduro, dipped in Hennessy. And I'm gonna tell you the funniest thing about this, and then I'm gonna spin and we'll start talking about some paranormal stuff. So, um, this cigar that I'm smoking was made specifically for me from Cigar Factory New Orleans. And then there was this huge blow up with the Filipino mafia and all this other talent. It was crazy stuff, right? And so I hadn't smoked it in a long time. But I go to one of the local cigar shops. Good morning, guys. Um, I go to one of the local cigar shops away from the French Quarter. Where I've been hanging out, doing some business consulting, talking to them. You know what I'm saying? Chopping it up. I walk in, and there's this guy, Charles. Cool dude. I've known Charles since Charles was like 19 years old, when he was like a young, hustling cigar salesman. Hadn't seen the man in 10, 12 years. And we embrace and hug and we talk, chop it up. And the owners of this other cigar place where Charles was coming to sell product, I had been consulting them. Like, hey, bro, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. For those of you who don't know, I do consulting work um, here and there. I don't really charge like I used to. And so we have this sit down. Chingo Bling says he sent me an email. I apologize if I missed it. It may be in, I will be checking emails once I get off of here. And I'm going to be rectifying a whole bunch of stuff today. But nonetheless, so it was one of those moments where I've been telling these people stuff. Most people don't believe you when you sit down and chop it up with them. You tell them A, they think you lying. And I understand that because most people are liars. And so Charles starts to validate all the stuff I've been telling him. And the look on the man's face was just like, whoa, okay. I'm like, yeah, bro, I've been telling you all this stuff about your business model. I've been telling you all these things that you should do. And I've been telling you these marketing things because this is the things that made that business that he's working for extremely successful. And then they start to tell the story of the cigar. And now here's the funny thing. So the cigar that I'm smoking right now used to only have a label on it with a W. It was a black label with a white W, and it was locked in a box, like a metal box, in the corner of their humidor. It was a pretty big box, and there was a whole bunch of them. Well, over time, when I would go out and hang out and I would smoke cigars, I would buy my cigars and I would just give them away. So we'd be hanging out, having drinks, and I'm smoking a cigar. Man, I want a cigar. I would just give them away. But all right, here go cigar for you, cigar for you, cigar for you. Well, eventually people started going looking for it. So then they had to unlock the box. Um, and so they unlocked the box, and people started buying the cigars to the point to where I couldn't get my own cigar. So they decided they were going to take the label off my cigar that I had specifically made for me, specifically blended for me, and start selling it. Then they had the big fallout. And this was the funniest thing about this conversation. And they had the big fallout. And I'm just chopping it up with y'all, just real talk. Not That's what I do. Then we had this big fallout, and the actor that played in what's the name of that TV show with the mafia? Woke Up This Morning, The Sopranos. Gandolfini, the guy that played the mob boss, he used to always come in and out of that. And so he started smoking the same cigar. Well, I'm talking about like in and out of there while I'm there. He started smoking the same cigar. For the record, those of you guys don't know, like the mafia themselves validated the way he played that role. Like they loved the way he played that role. So anyway, he comes through, starts smoking a cigar. And so now they done took my cigar and attributed it to him. And so we sitting there talking. I'm like, how y'all gonna attribute a whole cigar that was blended for me and make it seem like it was his idea? It wasn't that man's idea. was like, but it's all good. I said, but how you going to attribute to him? And my partner Charles is like, man, it's a better selling point. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's a great selling point, but that's a lie. Nonetheless, I got a couple of my old cigars, and I'm really really enjoying them. I miss the taste and the flavor. I mean, when you take a puff, you taste the cognac in the cigar. I mean, it's a phenomenal thing. I mean, this is a connoisseur's cigar. It really, really is. That's me rambling. I hope you guys are doing well. Good morning. D Gramps, what up, homie? I hope you're doing all right. Um, I hope everyone's doing well. Have you noticed, ladies and gentlemen, that the paranormal has invaded the news cycle to the point to where you got a broad on a plane talking about she's seeing lizard people. Um, um, you got um, you got UFOs landing in Vegas. You got all kind of stuff going on out here in these streets. There was another flying man seen in Venezuela where he just flying over the clouds. I don't know if you guys have noticed that the paranormal has taken over the news cycle and the significance of it. So I'm here to talk about the significance of it. You see, the field that we're in, um, by nature, is an occult field, meaning it's hidden, right? So now what's hidden is coming out into the light. And it's a great moment of validation for this field as a whole. Um, now, you see the monetization of it, right? Like you see like people covering it. Like you literally see them covering it on their YouTube channels, on TikTok, and all the rest of these things. So rightfully so, people are capitalizing on it. But because it's building blocks, or foundational building blocks that you guys have been audience members and content creators have been building for a long time. But I want to remind you guys, 3-4 years ago, I was saying we want to get to this point to where it would be mainstream news. I said that we would be the mainstream news when it came to the paranormal. And I also said that people are going to be looking for answers and they're going to be turning to people who they know have answers on these issues and topics. And we're almost at that point. And I know there's a lot of creators that listen to me. Y'all listen, but y'all be hating. Y'all don't want to acknowledge that y'all listen. It's all good. I ain't mad at none of you because it's a competition and I'm cool. I never viewed it as competition, but I trust me, you do. I do now. So we getting ready to start playing some games. We playing sports now. I'm MJing y'all. I love you, but I'm still about to MJ you. But nonetheless, the concept and idea of everything starting to hit the mainstream news cycle is a great, phenomenal turning point for people as a whole. It means that all the people who were called conspiracy theorists, all the family members who said, "Oh man, you're crazy for being into that subject or that topic," that is being shattered right now. Now, why it's being shattered is a whole nother story. But nonetheless, it's being shattered. I'll give you my thoughts on what's really going on. Right? Technology has reached a point to now where you cannot hide some of the strange weirdness that's happening in the world. You can no longer hide it. It can be suppressed to a certain extent, right? Um, and that suppression is done through mainstream news cycles and mainstream media. It can be suppressed, but at the same time, the ability to use social media for people to connect across the world, around the world, destroys that suppression. And it makes it to where it's kind of like you go around them. Imagine like mainstream media as being a rock that was in a river at one point in time and it created a dam where it just blocked everything off. Well, what happens with that water is so powerful, it either erodes that rock, but we're not going to say this rock erodes because it's propped up unnaturally, both spiritually and financially. But what ends up happening is the river bank expands around that rock. And so the water just divides and goes around it, right? And next thing you know, it starts to consume in it, it overflows it, and that rock disappears. And that's where we are as it pertains to the paranormal, the supernatural, the weird and the strange. We're getting ready to get into the part where the rock itself is submerged underwater. And you can see it, you can taste it, you can smell it. It's a phenomenal time where people are going to really come into truths and true understandings. Now, what's being done at the same time is, and I believe that the powers that be knew this point was coming, and there was no way for them to stop it. So naturally, when you can't beat something, you turn and you go with the flow and you try your best to kind of direct that water. So, okay, I can't stop this raging river of water. What I can do is I can try and build a little structure to the right of it to turn it a little bit in this direction. And as I turn it to the right, I can be over here on the bank in the right and scoop up whatever I want or pour whatever I wanted to pour into that water to poison the water and poison the message. So you guys are seeing that, and you will see a lot of that. But that's where your discernment comes in. That's where your understanding, and that's where your research comes in, and your ability to, because many of you guys, they call it truthers, but many of you guys are just into having a greater understanding of how the world works and how things work and mysterious things of this world and how they affect us. And so now is your time, on multiple levels, to shine. So if you thought about starting a YouTube channel and you ain't did it, you need to do it. If you thought about being on TikTok and you haven't done it, you better start doing it, because we're going into that time frame where everything is being opened up and everything is being unlocked for you to see. So that being said, I want to give my opinion on this broad on this plane. Pardon my language. I don't mean no disrespect. I'm from New Orleans. Sometimes we call women broads. And just the pure body language. There we go. Now this cigar here, I don't light it with no lighter because it mess up that flavor. You got to use match, and I'm talking about the long match, not no little. Oh man, oh Lord, it's a fire. There we go. I want to give my opinion on this. I'm gonna share you guys this video with you guys and tell you what I think of it. How do I get this done? Present, share screen, reptilian snake. Well, I'm gonna share this one first. First of all, man, wilding out on this plane like this.
Nobody cares. Where's Homeland Security? There should be Homeland Security.
Talking about he taking over the plane.
I don't care.
I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. See all these dudes sitting next to him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This brother right here, 7, 8, 9.
Why should you be scared?
Real talk. Somebody should have decked him. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like this man sitting right here with his finger on his mouth. Like, I'd have been like, "Sit, homie. Like, you need to sit down." And he did all that talking. "Say, homie, you need to sit down." I'd have eased my way out that seat and I'd have punished him. And I just took the consequences. You talking about you gonna take over the plane? I said, "Bro, I'm on this plane. I got a family to get home to. We ain't playing none of that." All right, on to the girl.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Now, I've been watching comments, bro, where people been talking about Shorty, and they've been saying she's where they've been saying Shorty on drugs and that she drunk and that she high and all the rest of this. Dude, that's a woman that's scared. And you can see it in her face. You can see it in her eyes. You can even see it in her skin. You can see how flush her skin is. See how her skin is flush, and you can see the blood flowing through. Look at her. Look down here at her arms. Every artery and vein, her blood pressure's high. Everything is flush on this woman because she's legit afraid of something.
And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. Say whatever you want.
Watch it again.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it.
Even her hand, look at her hands.
I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not.
Now here's the craziest thing. I might have to close this door. Stop sharing. Because they out there with them weed eaters. And they be wilding with them weed eaters and them leaf blowers. Hold on. My bad. Shorty scared, man. And what happens in a situation like this is over time, because people want to monetize it, you'll see people, it is a king's job to search out a thing. You'll see people monetize it, so it'll become a joke. But when you really, really look at what other eyewitnesses have said about encountering lizard people, black eyed kids and lizard people, it's a lot of the similarities. There's this cold demeanor about them, and then they show themselves either via their eyes turning black or they're having them lizard eyeballs. There was another guy who said he was on that plane, and I don't know. When he was saying this, it seemed as if he was piggybacking off of it. I mean, he didn't show like a boarding pass or anything like that. I just thought he was a genius in how he was stealing some of the shine of this story. But he was saying that he was on a plane behind the lady. There it is. That's exactly Iron and Max Ministries. You know exactly what it is. That's real. That's real scripture right there. He was saying that he was on a plane with Shorty, right? And that he was behind her, and he was seeing the guy in the hoodie, and that the guy turned and winked at him, but his eye winked left to right. His eye winked vertically, going left to right instead of horizontally up and down. And I was like, that don't resound, that don't really strike me as truth. It strike me as somebody who was hijacking the momentum of the video. But all that's inconsequential to the fact that when you look at this woman, not only physically she looks distraught, but when you listen to her, she sounds like she saw something that actually terrified her. And from my perspective, these are all demonic people. I mean, Jim Ellis, it could be demonic people, it could be whatever it wants to be. It's a matter of whether she's telling the truth or not. That's the true issue. If you can determine, and this is how I determine what stories to tell. If I can determine if that individual is telling the truth and the amount of truth that's being shared by that person, the rest of the story starts to make sense on its own. So you start with the witness, and it starts right there with them. Don't get bogged down into, and this is just, I'm gonna give y'all the game. Don't get bogged down into the details of A plus B plus C plus D. You start with the person, and are they credible? Does what your ears hear and what your eyes see make sense? If that makes sense, then you start going through the details of what happened. So to me, it could be a reptilian. It could have been somebody who was demonically possessed. It could have been a lot of different things. I lean towards reptilians, but it could be a whole bunch of different things. I mean, honestly, truthfully, it could be a whole slew of, where did it go? Let's see.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. Say whatever you want.
All right, I'm trying to see. Look and see if y'all see a wedding ring on
I'm
this woman's
telling you,
finger. This is her left hand as she's walking out, right?
I'm getting the fuck off.
1, 2. That should be that finger there. That's a regular ring.
And there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off.
No. Okay. Um. And I think it's that's something that's really important, that she decided she was going to try and warn people of what she saw, and that's the price that you pay. Now let's take it out of that situation. No, that's how a lot of people's voices sound when they're scared. Um, you'll be amazed at how men's voices tend to crack when they're afraid and they're scared. But think of it from this perspective. So let's take it out the context of the plane completely, right? Let's take the video away from it, and all you hear is that woman's voice, right? And I want you guys to imagine this. All you hear is her voice. You don't see the video, you don't see the plane, you don't see nothing. There's no context to this. If you were given that audio, would you say that that person was genuinely afraid or not? You would say absolutely, that person is afraid of something, right? Would you say that person is high on drugs? What's the probability of that person being high on drugs, right? It's hard to tell from the audio. Then you add the video in, right? So let's look for signs of her being high. You got plenty of looks at her eyes. Look at her eyes. Let's see. Y'all seen plenty of people high. Um, so let's look at the lady's eyes and see.
And everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe
Hold on.
it. You can say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off. And there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off. And everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it.
All right, here we go. I don't know. I don't see her sweating like she on no drugs. She definitely ain't popping no Molly. She ain't don't look like she on
I
no
don't
coke.
give two fucks.
Nah.
But I am
And then notice how she rolls her shoulders back confidently as she's saying this. Watch. I'm telling you.
right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Now, I'll tell you the strangest thing about this. If you change the context of this, if she was saying that that man sexually assaulted her on that plane, based on that body language, somebody would get up and beat that man up. Look at her body language. If she said that man right there just sexually assaulted me, everybody on that plane will believe her. Look how confident that body language is. And then if you look in her eyes, she ain't, I mean, that woman ain't high. That woman is afraid. But even in her fear, she a bad mamma jamma, because she's like, nah, I'm telling you, I don't care what you think. That man is not real. Now, she could have verbalized it differently. She could have said his eyes did ABC, this. But it makes sense that this woman said that man is not real, because the context of her mind, she has no bucket to put in what she saw. So, like, think about it. Like, I got an iced coffee cup right here, right? Like, in this cup, it says PJ's iced coffee. Or PJ's coffee. I know I should expect some coffee to be in this cup because it's a coffee cup. Now, let me give you this new substance you've never seen before. You don't know what the hell to do with it. And you got all these different cups in your mind that you try and pour it into for it to make sense. There's nowhere for it to pour into. So her brain is like, I don't know what to tell you, but look, that man ain't real. And that's how she articulated it in the moment. I believe 100%, 110%. I believe 110%. Yeah, there was a guy on a plane that tried to open a door on the plane, which would have killed everybody on the plane. That would have been we would have had to start getting at it up in that situation. I've had incidents on planes recently where a guy, I'm flying on Southwest, and if you ever flew on Southwest, you know that when it's time to get off the plane, people like to stand up in the aisle and put their butt in your face and all the rest of it. And this guy just lost it because he wanted to get off the plane, but we're at the back of the plane. He wanted to get up, and I'm like, yo, homie, um, I'm not getting up and standing in the aisle just to stand there. Well, I want to get up. Well, you're gonna have to sit down and wait because I'm not moving. But you're not listening to me. I want to get up. And I said, no, you're not listening to me. I'm not moving. Now, if you plan on climbing over me and assaulting me as you're getting off this plane, me and you gonna have a problem. So it looks like you ain't got no choice but to sit right there where you at. Now you can try it, homie, and let's see how it ends. And he set his ass back down. All right. I mean, I know the Baphomet sign, bro. I like a lot of stuff that people, a lot of hand gestures that people be talking about, homie. The average person don't be knowing what them hand gestures is, man. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with you, Alejandro. Like, the average cat, to me, I done seen chicks do those hand signs like that when they arguing with other chicks. You know what I'm saying? Unless there's something else, Alejandro, that I didn't see, um, from a different angle or something, and I could be wrong. But if it's, excuse me, if it's in the context of this video, I'll play it again, and I would like to see it. But like the satanic hand gestures that people attribute so much to the average individual, bro, is just a hand gesture. You understand what I'm saying? It's a gesture. There's gestures that I make while I got a cigar that somebody could say is a gang sign, but it's me just moving my hands. But I know if some of the movements I do, it legit is a gang sign, but I'm not sitting here trying to make no, I'm not in no gang. You know what I'm saying? So some of that stuff has to be kept in context of what's what. So unless we have other video of this woman throwing up satanic hand symbols, then it just don't make no sense. Yo, who is this, man? Like, they done called me a bunch of times. Like, unless we have other video to put it in context, Alejandro, I wouldn't roll with it. So with that being said, you here, walk me through, just comment what else you've seen, because I could be wrong, you know what I'm saying? But just based on the evidence I have right here, and there may be 1,000 more other videos that I don't know about, I don't see it, but I'll run back through it again just to look with that thought in mind. I just haven't seen anything that justifies that.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it.
If that's the Baphomet hand gesture that you're talking about, which I'm pretty sure that's the gesture that Baphomet does with the two fingers up, that ain't no satanic. That's a broad explaining stuff to people, man. That's her saying, that's her literally verbalizing, I don't give a fuck. That's her opening up saying, I don't give a fuck about what you think. That's her hand, literally, her hands are saying what her mouth is saying. If you don't believe it, and she's addressing everybody, spreading her hands, I don't give a what you believe. I'm just going to tell you. And that's what the hand gesture is. The body language is matching the actual words coming out of her mouth. Watch it again. I'm going to rewind.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it.
I remember she just said everyone, and then she made a gesture. Can either believe it, and she spread her hands. Everyone can either believe it or not believe it. Next second, the other hand is down. Let's see.
I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this.
Nah, I ain't going with that, homie. I ain't going with that one. Big Earl says religion has people blinded. Religion ain't got nobody blinded. This is a Christian channel, and we talk about everything. Matter of fact, we talk about all the stuff. We've revealed all the stuff. Religion has absolutely nothing to do with it. Anyway, If you want to know who has people blinded, it's your powers that be. It's your what people call the Illuminati is what has people blinded. All right, so Alejandro, back to what we were saying. That gesture is directly in line with what she's saying. It's kind of like, in fact, watch this with this other dude. The dude who talking about the dude on the plane. Watch this.
Ruining humanity. If you're a human, no, shut up and sit down. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Where's Homeland Security? There should be Homeland Security. Step away from me.
All right, so he says nobody cares. Sit down. You see how his hand gestures are going with the words that are coming out of his mouth. Sit down. He's moving his hands like sit down. Nobody cares about me. He moves his hands towards him like nobody cares about me. Where's Homeland Security? He spreads his hands like where, like he's looking, and that's how you judge body language. But based on his body language, you need to whoop his tail because he's got the body language of somebody who's really really crazy and done lost his mind.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not.
And I give you another piece of information. I give you another piece of information that you can see. For those who talk about like she using Baphomet hand signals, here's one thing you need to know about people who actually are into that high level occult stuff. They do not hide it. It's their religion. So it's going to be tattooed on their body. It's going to be on an emblem somewhere where you can see it. Like lower level people like that, they don't hide it. Now the higher level people, they're smart. They're the vampires and everybody else is the Renfield. You know what I'm saying? The one that runs out and do stuff. She would be a Renfield if that was the case. You would see it all over her. You would see tattoos. You would see jewelry. You don't see anything. What I see is a chick that was on a plane. She kind of a baddie. She either was leaving from hanging out with somebody or going to hang out with some friends or something. She got regular bracelets on. She got regular hoop earrings on. You can definitely tell she's from a city where she interacted. That's a cultural place where she interacted with a whole bunch of different cultures. Not like from the country anywhere, because you can tell by her body language and her gestures. And that's it. And she saw something that was weird. And that it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Big Earl. Hey man, I tell you what. You can go and start your YouTube channel, Brian. You can spit it. You know what I'm saying? Go give your opinion. All right, back to what we were saying. So that's why I stand on that video. But I want you guys to be mindful that there's going to be a whole lot more of this stuff coming out. Because as it comes out and as people become emboldened, more people are going to talk. Now, you can always judge the nature of a thing in the rollout of evidence. For example, you go back to the alien video with the alien in the backyard, right? And it hit mainstream news. It rolled out all over the place. Then there was this fake video or something in the backyard that wasn't directly attributed to it, that somebody tried to attribute to it. And it was really, really being pushed. And then if you look at the mainstream news cycle, you see where the distraction, where things are used as a distraction. For example, we had that alien thing, and then we had the submarine thing, which the submarine thing just didn't make any sense. And if you want to have a deeper understanding of how the media uses narratives and creates them, you can test it like I did. I saw the submarine narrative. I said, let me see if I just say the most wildest, stupid thing about a submarine, if it's going to go views wise, right? So if you guys remember my submarine video, I literally didn't even have a microphone on. I just hit record and said, yeah, this submarine thing don't make no sense. Why would you get in this, and just put a video of a submarine up and put it there, and that ran to like 16,000 views because it was something that was being pushed narratively in the news cycle. So if you see a hard push on it, like I mean a hard push, then you really should be questioning it. I mean, across the board. Now, if this lady's story was on the news, on nightly news, which I don't think it has been, I would be like, all right, this is a little suspect. You know what I'm saying? Um, and people may say, well, dude, you're saying that stuff is hitting the mainstream news, but at the same time, and we should be looking for it, but at the same time, you're saying, the news is suspect. It is suspect. It's 100% suspect. That's where your discernment comes in, and you have to kind of decipher the two. So, for example, was there truth to the alien thing? Clearly, there was some kind of truth to it, but it was hijacked at some point in time. Was there truth to the submarine thing? Clearly, there was some kind of truth because all lies are built on a part truth, whether it be the whole truth that was poured into a bucket and mixed with some oil of lies, or whether it be the whole truth that was just hijacked and other stuff added onto it and they take it in a whole different direction. It has to have truth in it for it to actually blend in and be accepted by the human mind. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're in a unique place where you're going to see these narratives over and over. And then in this field, in the cryptid field, we're in a place now where, and you guys, if you haven't seen it, you should be seeing it. In the cryptid field, we're in a place where nobody wanted to talk about Jesus Christ. Nobody wanted to talk about God in this field. Nobody, and I'm telling you guys this because I've been in roundtable discussions where I would mention Jesus, and people are like, well, I don't really talk. This is creators. I don't really talk about that kind of stuff because, or religion. It would be classified as religion because I don't want to alienate my audiences. And so as that becomes more prevalent, as those conversation talking points become more prevalent, you're seeing people come out of the woodworks to kind of antagonize and just be crazy, right? And that, I love it because it's not them being triggered, it's the things that are inside of them that's being triggered. Kevin says they're all distractions from the digital dollar rollout, and that may be true. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell everybody they're going to live at 50% of the existing, the way of life. You got to find a way to roll it out and distract them while you do it to them. And that may be true. And that may be the underlining point behind all of this. But there is something going on. And the more you spread the information, the more you share the information, the more you share the talking points, the more people you wake up across the board, it's easier for them to see the truth. Like people disassociate like paranormal truth and paranormal understanding from the greater understanding. And I'll put it to you like this. For the longest, there was this thing when they talked about like sacrifices, right? Beet juice sacrifices, because YouTube will act stupid, right? And it was all the rage, they doing beet juice sacrifices. They doing beet juice sacrifices, right? That was something that we were all aware of the whole time. Now that it's come out in the movie theaters of a lot of the things that's going on, now people's eyes are open to the reality of the world that they live in and the things that happen in this world that they live in. So the role that you play, like this is a foundational spiritual level of things that we talk about. People don't want to make it spiritual because they feel like people will reject it or they'll be attacked, right? But when you start talking to people, you're breaking a foundational level of kind of mind control and destroying that to where a person is going to be open to everything. They'll see everything differently. I know this to be true because I don't just talk about this stuff here on YouTube. I talk about it with people all over the place. And I'll get a phone call. Say, Brian, Jay, man, I was thinking about what you said about blah blah blah, and man, I turned on the news and they talking about this, and I think this ties it in this, and I'd be like, yeah, but that's how it works. So your role in this is important, you know, and unfortunately, people want you to not talk about what you've seen, what you've experienced, and then your take on what you've seen and your experience, what you've experienced. Especially if you're a Christian, it's like, oh no, you don't talk about that. But I find it crazy and weird that I'll give you an example. Every TV show that's a ghost hunter show has a medium on it, right? That's a psychic that talks to a spirit. That's readily accepted. But then there's this aspect where people don't realize that there's spiritual warfare in the field. You're talking to a spirit that's giving you inside information on a situation. But it's like um there's been this kind of wall put up to where it's like, oh no, that over there and this over here is separate. No, it's all the same. I mean, it's legit all the same. Hold on, guys. It's easy for you to deal with. Um, but you gotta understand it's the nature of people, dog. You know what I'm saying? So when you come on, we're gonna chop it up. All right, love you. Um, so it's not two separate things. It's never two separate things. It's all one thing. Um, and what ends up happening is it's intentionally divided. It's intentionally separated so it can be monetized and chopped up and monetized. I'll give you an example. There's researchers, excuse me, this coffee is catching up with me. There's researchers that I talk to religiously that go out into the field, and the spirit that they talk to is the spirit of God, Rauk Hakodesh, period. And that same spirit says, hey, don't go no further than this point right here. Stop right there, and you'll see what you need to see. And it pertains to cryptids. It's never talked about because people are afraid to talk about it. But people will readily believe that somebody talking to a spirit as a psychic and is giving them information. I really believe it. And I ain't preaching at you. I'm just telling you it is what it is. And you got to understand the field that you're in. You need to understand the things that we deal with. Because everything that you see manifesting here in this natural realm is something that started off in the spirit realm. And it just shows itself here. And it reveals itself here. And some of the people that you listen to, that's why I love talking about Jesus, because I always get the others to drop off. Um, some of the other stuff that you're listening to and seeing has its effect on you and your world and your life. And I've been saying this for the longest. I've said it on interviews. I've said it over and over again. Um, this is a very, very tricky field that we're in. It really, really is. It's deceptive is the word I'm looking for. Um, and that deception You pay a price for being deceived. I'm not going to deceive you because I'm not going to be carrying that load, that weight of being a deceiver. I'm just going to tell you like it is. So as it pertains to this chick and what she saw, Shorty saw something, and it scared her to her core. And I've heard that scared tonality before in witnesses when I've spoken to them on the phone. I mean, that same like breaking up tonality. Now, it's only one way. It was two ways that that happens with an eyewitness on the phone, right? It's fresh off the encounter, or if I really use neuro linguistic programming techniques to actually bring them back to that encounter. And that's I don't like doing that to people because it's hard to pull them back from there, especially if it was really really traumatic. It takes a lot of energy to pull a person mentally back from where they're visualizing what they saw and smelling it and hearing it and feeling it, and then you get all the truth. Like they can even try and lie to you, but if you bring them back to that moment, you're going to get 100% truth from them. I mean, 100% truth. But the problem is, once you bring them there, you have to yank them back. And I've done it live on air with you guys, where you've heard me talking to people on some of these talk shows, and they'll start crying. I'll be like, wait, hold on, slow down, boom, 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 boom. I mean, I've done it live where people have heard me do it. But it's a series of questions that take that person to that point and make them relive that point. And it's like, I call it chunking down. You hit them once, chunk down again. Hit them twice, chunk down. And by the time you get to like 4 levels down, they are right there looking at it, seeing it, smelling it, tasting it. And then you got to yank them back out of that moment. I'll say this to you as well. I didn't learn this until later. It's that same chunking down process when you're dealing with something like demonic or any kind of spirit. Um, oh yeah, Jim Ellis. I would never say the spirit that the psychic was talking to is God. I didn't say that at all. If that was what I was saying, you misheard me, brother. I agree with you totally. It's that same chunking down method that um that actually, should I say that? Yeah, I can say it. That same chunking down method, which actually summons up whatever it was that they saw. I don't know if that makes sense to you, and I'll try and make it make sense to you, right? So, for example, there's been eyewitnesses that hadn't seen Dogman for 4 years, and then I forced them to chunk down into the encounter, and within a week they see another Dogman. It doesn't add up logically. It doesn't make sense logically until you understand that that's how powerful the human mind is. And you're forcing them to go back into their memory, live a moment, and then there's some connection that's deep down in there that either that entity itself is like, oh, you're talking about me, and I'm gonna come check on what you're saying about me. And it's the same thing with demonic entities. I mean, it's always the same. Um, the one I'll say that it's not the same with is alien encounters. And I've only had about 15, 20 of those over the years because I given a really haven't given a damn about aliens, truthfully. You know what I'm saying? Like little gray dudes rolling up on you, like, come on, man. Like, it's not that I don't believe in them because I believe all of it exists. It's just I don't see nothing exciting about aliens. It's just, I mean, that's the oldest concept when it comes to the paranormal. Somebody coming down and doing something. It just doesn't interest me. So um there's something to forcing a person to relive an encounter that literally resummons it. It's no different than a lady who was telling me about that giant shadow that came down the hallway for her when she was a kid, and the witch that was behind the curtains in her bedroom, and how it crawled up in the bed with her, was messing with her. And 2 days after that, not only did I experience something, but she experienced something. And every time I ever told that story, um, everybody else experiences something. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them plays to where if you truly understand it, it leads to why it leads to why you got to be careful what you listen to. If that makes sense to you. And it's a reason why certain stories I just don't tell. I think I can tell them now and stop stuff, but I can't stop it. But God can. But I still don't tell it because I don't want that crap in y'all house. I know where I stand, but I don't know where everybody else stands. So certain stories I just don't tell. And there's some phenomenal, spooky, scary stories. But the minute you start playing that inside your household, it's opening a doorway or a portal, however it works. It's opening something for it to come into your house. That's been verified. All right, I'll take some questions from you guys because I got a little time. I got 15 minutes left, and I'm on schedule. I got 15 minutes left until I gotta hit them up. Um, Today you're gonna get a couple more reruns, and then tomorrow you're going to get. I'm moving for Dogman. I'm moving a long format, so I'm moving to hour, 30-minute to hour long formats that I'm dropping here. Because it's not you guys, but the algorithm does not respect it. The YouTube algorithm doesn't respect quality, right? It respects quantity. So now I'm getting ready to give you guys. I'm about to do what nobody else is willing to do. I'm gonna give you both quality and quantity combined, um, so the algorithm can pick me back up and I can keep running on my run like I was doing before. So you'll get longer formatted new stuff. All right. Alien abductions, U.S. government. I mean, probably is U.S. government, bro. I'm pretty sure the government has a little bit to do with everything. William Floyd. That pick was somebody cracking a joke, pimp. Ain't no real reptilian. I kind of felt like you knew that. That's why I didn't answer that question. Um, the Alignment of Judah should be at the website. It's not on YouTube. Um, because I've stuffed. It's going to be re-uploaded, but I'm clearing all the curse words off all content. So, like, if you find a curse word on some content, it might be something like a live stream like this, but all that old stuff, I'm clearing it off. So just be patient; it'll pop back up. I know I got the files for it. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of hood stories, and I'll be honest with you guys. Um, like for me, over the past couple of years, I've been trying to get to the bottom of things, and I haven't treated this like the business it should be because I've been trying to get to the truth of things. I mean, trying to really get to the truth of it, but the truth is really simple. So now I'm petitioning things based on the platform that they need to be on in order for it to get the actual growth that it needs to get. So, for example, there's no growth for anything on YouTube that has to do with like hood stories. Like you're just not gonna get it. So I started a TikTok just to test the waters. A lot of that hood stuff is gonna be there because the audience that's attracted over there is different. They're gonna listen to it. Here, they're not gonna listen to it. So I'll post where I put it. But yeah, I got some really good stuff. Um, some really, really good stuff. The book should have been there. I'll check it because they all should be on one page. I'll check it just to make sure. That link at the top of the website when you log in should take you there. If it's not working, I'll check it. Let me take some notes. Where's my pen? Give me something. Let me get my notepad. Let's do a sticky note. And all right, that is sitting in front of me, and that would be added to my to-do list. Guys, check out my man World Weather Authority if you want to get your weather news and all the rest of your news about what's going on out here in this crazy, crazy world. Somebody says you're opening up a door for them to enter again. Jim, you're a little bit behind in the conversation, so I'm hoping you hearing what I'm saying. I think you a little bit further back. Well, there have been a lot of stories that I've got. Like, I got a bunch of police officer stories from Compton. I got a lot of stories. Um, I remember I told you guys one of my friends. Well, we were friends till we had that falling out. Was in San Diego. He was the longest undercover DEA agent in San Diego. He holds a record for being undercover for the longest period of time. They wrote a whole book about him and the things that he did. Like I got all his stories, and he got some savage hood stories. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I got all kinds of stuff. It's just that I've tested this marketplace with those stories over the years, and there was no interest in them. So I can put them at the website. I can put some of them on TikTok where there will be an interest in them, where people are watching. But I'm not going to put stuff in the marketplace where there's no market for it. That's a waste of my time and my effort. And that's the point I'm trying to make. William says, first time in live stream, I woke up, TV was on YouTube talking about Dogman and shadow people. The story scared me. Lady in the sleep. I picked up the phone and went straight to here. Yeah, you were listening to that interview that I did with Where Did the Road Go in the UK. I cut out a whole bunch of stuff out of that interview that was like some bad stuff. Like when I went back and listened to it and was editing the language, I cut out a whole bunch of bad stuff. That was an interview where I was talking that talk, like them things. You know what I'm saying? I got about 3 more vampire stories, Anonymous. And that's about it for right now as it pertains to vampires. And mind you, I haven't checked my cell phone. Where's the other phone? I haven't checked my phone to see how many people have actually called. Let's see, it's right here in front of me. Notifications. Yeah, that's a lot of missed calls. Yeah, I see 11 new people right there. And that's probably got stuff that they want to talk to me about. And that's from the last time I checked it, which was last week. And so I'm working through it and making sure you guys got good, phenomenal content that makes sense. One of the things that I find interesting about the Dogman field is we've gotten to this point in the field where truth has come out about, and this is truth that I've been saying for a long time, about them being genetically modified, but it's a version of the truth that I don't know. You gotta do your research about laws, rules, and regulations as to where genetic modification is done. Like there's this overwhelming like narrative about dogmen coming from DUMBs, deep underground military bases in America. And that the experiments where dogmen are created are done in DUMBs, deep underground military bases in America. And that is not true. And it's in legislation where you can find that it's not true and it's not possible. And then you can literally go find where it's done if you do the research. Do they come from, are they genetically modified? Yes. Is there a version that's genetically modified? Absolutely. Could they be used to hunt down things? Yes, absolutely. I don't go into that because I don't want that smoke. Is it done here in America? No. No. It's just not. So there's truth and then there's absolute truth. And like I told you, there's truth and then there's people who build on the truth. And it's fine that they build on it because they're still putting the truth out there. But it's just, if you really want to know the truth, you have to think for yourself and you have to do the research for yourself. And the only person, I don't think a person like me can do is point you in the right direction. Because when you're really sharing the truth of a matter, there's a certain amount of liability when you really dig deep and you start spitting it like you're supposed to spit it. I mean, there's a significant amount of liability. Hold on, guys. Yeah, there's a certain amount of liability when you really start spitting the truth. Um, and so it's one of them plays. Iron Ministries want to know what's my take on King Charles. You talking about Lizard King? You know what I'm saying? And that's where you want to. Again, That's how you find out the truth. Is there's consequences for people who tell the truth, and then you look for those consequences. You understand what I'm saying? There's certain levels of truth that you can venture into unintentionally. I want to be clear. There's certain levels of truth that you can venture into unintentionally and still pay consequences for it. Those are not as severe as the levels of truth that you make it known that you know and you intentionally decide, hey, here's a line, and I'm gonna get a running start, and I'm gonna do a long jump over this line. And it's different. I mean, it's just different. And so if you want to know the truth, you have to understand how the truth works, how it works in the world of influence, and you look for consequences of that truth. And then you'll see where everything is. You'll see how it unfolds and how the pieces on a chessboard move and how everything plays out. Um, I think that's the best way to put it. To not poo-poo anybody or anything that anybody said. It's just you got to look. All right. I have a screenshot from my security cam. Whoa, you dead serious? A screenshot from my security cam when you and D-Dog's praised about my bloodline. A golden calf, half torso left my property. I can believe it, D Gramps. And trust me, and yeah, I ain't got to see it. WWA, I know. What's World Weather Authority? My man said he's still waking up. Um, so William, let's talk about that real quick. That half wake, half sleep state is called a veil, and most people who experience like the witch riding their backs, they experience it in the veil. Most spirits, people who experience visions, they'll see visions in the veil. You'll experience a lot of different things as you're going through the veil. Hmm. Now that's interesting. Let's pray for a second, guys. Father God in heaven, I thank you for this beautiful, glorious, magnificent day. Um, the day where you make the sun shine, the wind blow. Thank you for all elements that you've created: fire, sound, wind, earth, water, um, and all portions of land. And I thank you for just being you, for being how beautiful and gracious and glorious you are, how stunningly beautiful and powerful you are, how majestic and just large and colossal that you are. And Father, I ask that all flaming arrows that are being sent, each and every arrow that's being sent right now, I ask that you return those arrows back to sender, Father. I ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ, and I plead his blood over this petition. Amen. Back to what I was saying. It's an understanding of that veil. As you're crossing the veil, things happen in that spiritual place. There's deals that are made in that spiritual place. There's visions that happen in that spiritual place. Um, and so when you say you're waking up and your dog is looking at you, there may be something that's going on. If your dog is barking, there's probably something that's going on. That's why prayer is so important for you, for your family, for your household. It's extremely important for you guys. And you got to be mindful of what you see and what you deal with when you're coming through that veil. All right, let's see. World Marlene and Dita. They're talking amongst themselves. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys the most interesting thing that I've seen in the news. This concept of blocking out the sun. Have you guys seen that? Well, William, you need to start praying, buddy, if that's the stuff you're experiencing. Have you guys seen where they were talking about literally blocking out the sun? I mean, governmental wise, like at the governmental level, the US government is saying that they're going to block out the sun. They also said that they wanted to ban nitrogen. I already said they want to ban carbon, which we are carbon based life forms. Now they're saying they want to block out the sun. And then it's not like, remember back in the days, and goes back to talk about revelation and understanding and stuff being revealed. 5 years ago, people were talking about the chemtrails, right? And people were video recording the chemtrails. And the news was saying there's no such thing as a chemtrail, right? Now the US government is saying they're going to block out the sun. That's crazy, man. That's utterly crazy and insane. But that's the time that we're in. It's pure and utter insanity. And everybody knows that there's a water cycle. And the sun is a major part of the water cycle. So if you want to start drought, block out the sun. It's just crazy, man. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And on a spiritual level, it's even more insane because nobody, if you think about it, the water cycle is an indication that water is alive. I mean, we just gonna talk real talk. The water cycle itself is a extreme indication that water is a living thing. These are things that, like pagans and witches and warlocks, they know these things, right? Most Christians don't understand this. Water is alive. It has its own life cycle. The water on this planet is older than all of us. We're all made of 70% water. And we consume water. We drink it, we urinate it out. Who drank that water before you? You have no clue. You have no idea. But that water is a lot older than you, a lot older than me. And it has its own life cycle, it has its own life force, it has its own power. And what they're saying is, I'm blocking out the sun, I'm making war on God's creation. And that's what's really going on. That's what's really going on. The real sun ain't go out. Don't believe none of that foolishness. The real sun ain't going nowhere. The sun is in a different cycle that it's been in before. We're in a grand solar minimum. But it ain't going nowhere. The sun does it all the time. It has its life cycles. Grand solar maximums and grand solar minimums. Like it's all alive, so it's all has its cycles. And those people know that there are cycles. And so because they know their cycles, they know how those cycles affect this planet and affect the members of the people who are on this planet. And that's all it is to it. And so if you know there's going to be a cycle of the sun where it's not going to be as bright, it's going to give off a different white light, or give a white glow instead of that bright yellow glow, and that the radiation is going to be stronger, and it has all these different effects. It's real easy for you to hop in there and say, oh my God, the climate's changing. By the way, I just destroyed this live stream. It's not going to get monetized, but whatever. Oh my God, the climate's changing. We're all going to die. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who have, I might as well just say, you're dealing with people who talk to demons and spirits, and they know things that you don't know. And that's just it. You're dealing with people who talk to demons, spirits, and off-world entities that want to destroy us, and they're doing it. And that's just what it is, bro. They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. And the average person is just like that lady on that plane who was like, I don't care what none of y'all say. That person is not real. We are like that lady on that plane. Everybody else is like those people that's just sitting on a damn plane And she's like, I'm getting off this plane because y'all gonna die. That's us. Everybody else is them people sitting on that plane. Same thing with the other one. The guy's on the plane going off, talking about he gonna he gonna open the passenger door, all the rest of that. And everybody just sitting on the plane, let them talk. And that's what we dealing with. Instead of somebody just getting up and hammer fisting him in the eye and jabbing him in his trachea and telling him sit down, bro, that's what you're dealing with. And that's just the honest to God truth. And while we talking truth, I'll tell you more stuff. There's a reason why, like LBL, and all these other places have so much Dogman and Bigfoot activity. It's because of rituals that were conducted there. It's none of this stuff is really hard, bro. It's just not hard at all. It's just not hard. Just like there's a reason why, if you look at homie, Forest Spirits and Foraging, if you go look at that dude's channel and you have an open mind and you're not like an operative that's getting paid, $7 an hour to try and throw people off, because those people do exist in this field. They're just the dumbest people on the planet, because your stupidity, your little greed for money is only going to destroy you and your family. But you're going to get them behind a computer and put all these stupid comments to try and control the narrative, but you're only destroying yourself. And I hope you get what you deserve. But there's a reason why that dude can go to a boat launch, or he can go to a park where kids are playing and record video of Dogman in the trees, Bigfoot in the trees, things with blue eyes, things with red eyes, and they're all right there around people looking at them. It is what it is. It's right there in front of you. But everybody's on the plane while we're sitting there saying, I don't care what y'all think. Where she went? I'm gonna show y'all where your girl went with her sexy self, because she was sexy too. This is us. This is us.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. Say whatever you want.
That is you and me.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and
if somebody wanted to do something with this video, they need to turn it into a meme and say, me explaining to my friends that vampires, Dogman, Bigfoot, beet juice sacrifices, and cults are real. And my friend sitting there looking at me like I'm crazy, because that's what you are, and that's what they are. There you go. That's just the truth. That's just the honest to God truth. That's us. She is us. She is every TikToker, every YouTuber, every Instagram influencer who talks about the paranormal. That's who she is. You dig? That's who she is. That's exactly what we do. Try and ring an alarm that we see something weird and crazy, and that's what people do. That's who you are, ringing an alarm, and that's what you do. And that's just me keeping it 100 with you. 100% real with you. That's what we are. And like I said, as you see them people sitting there, watch this. I'm gonna watch them. They're gonna sit there. Look at it. I want y'all to look at these people. What was significant to me was only a few of them even look back. That's the shit that got me. Pardon my language, Dad. I shouldn't be cursing, but I'm just gonna say this. That's the shit that got me. Only a few of them even turned around and look around and look back. Watch.
And there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off.
That's y'all. And that's just keeping it 100. That's just keeping it 100. And instead of people turning around and looking back on the plane or saying, yo, this ain't normal. Shorty like tripping. I might hop up off this plane. Or somebody saying, yo, what you saw? They just sit there and just let me sit here and look straight forward and see. I mean, hold my head straight. And then in this field, you got a couple of people on the plane that's got influence that'll sit there and say, they're influencers. They're on the plane with y'all. And they'll sit there and say, that bitch is crazy. She lying. She got her stomach out. She got her hair in a bun. Ain't got nothing to do with what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? I don't like her bracelets. And that's what it is. We're going to keep it 100 with you. All right, I'm about to get to doing my work. I had till 10:45. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning around the same time, but I got till 10:45. I got other stuff I need to do. I got some things that people are saying are wrong with the website. I got a couple of people that I need to give some refunds, even though they have had access, but it is what it is. Some people just, they won't watch and then get their money back because they whatever. It would have only taken one person to grab their stuff and walk off, and the rest of them walk off too. Oh yeah, if everybody got up and walked off that plane, then they would have had no choice but to holler at home and be like, "Yo, what the hell going on with him?" You know what I'm saying? They would have had no choice. Or if somebody would been a G and been like, ripped his hoodie off, be like, "Yo, man, what's going on with Shorty?" While she was talking to him, and because there had to be something that happened before this. There had to be somebody sitting around him. Somebody been like, "Yo, pull the hoodie off his head." And like, "Yo, what's up, man? What you doing?" You would have got to the bottom of it. But therein lies the problem. The people who refuse to turn and look around and look back. That's the problem. Those are the people that you talk to. And here's the thing. Kind of a metaphor for it. Those same people, when that plane is crashing, she off the plane. When that plane is crashing, and this one didn't crash, but when that plane metaphorically is crashing, they still won't look back. Even though they know there's a problem, and you can talk about this in the financial system, in the political system, across the spectrum, the immigration, they won't look back. They just gonna go down in that plane crash. But you crazy because you got off the plane. Or you crazy because you got off the bus. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things, baby. That's just how it is. That's real talk. All right, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you enjoyed the chitty chat. And I'll talk to you guys later. Somebody was saying some people are too scared to look. Yeah, but it gets to a point to where you gotta look. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look. If there's danger to you, your family, your life, you gotta look. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's natural for people to be afraid, and it's natural not to want to look. Like I've experienced stuff like that where I'm out New Orleans East, pumping gas, see a car pull up, tinted out everything. Part of me like, nah, I don't even want to look over there. But not looking ain't gonna solve the problem. If them boys jumping out with them sticks, not seeing them only make it worse. So you gotta lean into it. So I turn my whole body that way and hit the gas pump. And now I'm looking at the car. I can't see you, but you see me looking. I'm gonna give you the option. This Negro looking at me. We hop out, then this Negro looking. We can't just run up on him and do him something. It's like that. That don't mean they're not gonna hop out. But what they know is when they do hop out, there might be a problem. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no soft target. And that's how you gotta think about this stuff. I don't want to be a soft target for none of this stuff. Like there you go. Or you don't want to die in ignorance. And that's just, I mean, that's just a metaphor for life. You won't be no soft target for nobody. That's just me keeping it 100. Love you guys. On to the next thing. Content gonna drop probably every 3 hours moving forward, guys. So some of it's gonna be old. You'll know when it's new because it's gonna be an hour-long block. It's gonna have new, and I promise you this: it's gonna be fire because the long form content is what the world wants. I'm gonna give you the long form, but I'm not gonna give you that long form that everybody else gets you because that's just my standard. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? In El Salvador, we be getting Bigfoot sightings. Oh yeah, I know. Y'all get a lot of stuff down in El Salvador. A lot more than just Bigfoot too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Peace.